Most men chase, but the truly irreplaceable men attract devotion without even trying. Forget the fleeting flings and superficial connections. This video unveils the powerful, often overlooked strategies that transform you from just another guy into the one she cherishes above all else. Prepare to unlock a level of commitment you never thought possible. You've felt it before. The difference between being wanted and being valued. Wanted is temporary, valued is timeless. The average man tries to earn affection through effort, through endless validation, through constant availability. But every time he overextends, he quietly tells her something, that his attention holds no weight because it costs him nothing to give. You, on the other hand, will learn the art of becoming a presence that cannot be ignored, not because you speak louder, but because your silence means something. The irreplaceable man doesn't convince a woman to stay. He becomes the emotional gravity she can't escape, the calm that her mind keeps returning to when everything else feels uncertain. Women don't devote themselves to words. They devote themselves to states of being, to the way a man makes them feel about themselves when he's near. And no feeling is more intoxicating to a woman than the contradiction of security and challenge. The sense that she's safe in your energy, yet never fully certain she possesses it. That tension fuels her emotional investment. Her curiosity deepens. Her mind replays your tone, your stillness, your restraint. She starts to interpret every silence as significance, every pause as purpose. This is not manipulation, it's emotional law. The feminine psyche is wired to be drawn toward what it can't fully define. The moment she knows you completely, she stops searching. The moment she senses mystery in your composure, she starts orbiting you. Most men destroy that mystery without realizing it. They over-explain, over-apologize, over-display emotion to prove authenticity. They confuse vulnerability with emotional exposure, thinking openness earns trust. But the truth is simpler and older. Trust isn't built through confession. It's built through consistency, through being the same man in chaos as you are in calm. A woman's attraction deepens when she feels your emotional temperature doesn't change under pressure. When her storm meets your stillness, something ancient triggers within her. Admiration, disguised as peace. She doesn't consciously choose it. Her instincts make the choice for her. Her mind associates your restraint with strength, your silence with certainty, your minimal reaction with depth. Every interaction becomes a quiet exchange of power. When she tests you and you do not flinch, she feels the security she's been unconsciously seeking. When you withdraw your validation and remain composed, she feels the loss, not because of ego, but because her emotional rhythm has attuned itself to your steadiness. In that moment, she realizes something most men will never understand. Devotion isn't something she gives you, it's something you awaken within her. And it begins the moment she senses that you don't need her validation to define your worth. That's where her fascination turns into devotion, when she feels your calm is not a performance, but your nature. There's a reason women remember certain men for years, even after new relationships, new lives, new beginnings. It isn't about looks, status, or the intensity of romance. It's about emotional signature. The imprint left by a man who embodied depth without demand, a man whose attention was selective, whose affection carried weight, whose presence couldn't be rushed or bought. You become unforgettable not by doing more, but by being more contained. Your restraint amplifies your value. Your stillness becomes her obsession. Because the truth few understand is that women crave intensity, not in chaos, but in meaning. They seek a man who mirrors their emotion with grounded strength, who absorbs their highs and lows without losing his center. And when she finds that man, when she experiences that rare blend of control and warmth, her loyalty shifts from conscious choice to instinctive bond. This is where devotion begins, not in pursuit, Not in performance, but in presence. She starts to feel that being near you stabilizes her, that your energy anchors her emotions, that her chaos somehow finds form in your calm. You're no longer just a man she's drawn to, you become the mirror through which she understands herself. And the more she understands herself through you, the deeper her connection grows. That's why the irreplaceable man never chases. He doesn't need to. His energy speaks in silence, and her heart listens. Devotion begins where predictability ends. The average man offers comfort that fades with time. The irreplaceable man offers mystery that matures. She never quite knows where his mind is, not because he hides, but because he's focused on something larger than her approval. That distance doesn't repel her, it pulls her in. To the feminine psyche, curiosity is attraction. The more she tries to understand you, the deeper her emotional investment becomes. But curiosity only survives when your presence carries layers, when your calm hints at unspoken history, when your silence feels intentional, when your confidence feels earned through solitude, not validation. This is what Marcus Aurelius called the discipline of perception. You train yourself to see through illusion, to separate her emotions from your identity. Most men fail here. They react to her moods as if her emotional turbulence defines their worth. They rise and fall according to her approval. But the irreplaceable man knows her emotions are weather, your composure is climate. You do not chase the storm, you anchor through it. You observe without collapsing, engage without absorbing, respond without losing rhythm. This is emotional leadership, not control over her, but mastery over yourself in her presence. When she feels that steadiness, something shifts inside her. Her nervous system, wired for emotional attunement, begins to regulate itself around your calm. You become not just the man she desires, but the emotional environment she craves. Women don't consciously seek dominance, they seek stability with depth. A man whose strength doesn't cage her but contains her, whose patience doesn't beg for peace but radiates it. And once she experiences that, once she feels that your composure isn't conditional, her devotion starts to feel inevitable. Because devotion is not the result of persuasion, it's the byproduct of emotional gravity. Every time you maintain your standard, every time you walk away from chaos instead of reacting to it, every time you preserve your silence when words would weaken your power, her subconscious takes note. She begins to associate you with meaning, with control, with mystery. She feels safer in your absence than she does in another man's constant presence. That's how emotional addiction forms, not through attention but through impact. The less you reveal, the more she projects. The more she projects, the more emotionally invested she becomes. And paradoxically, the more she invests, the less she wants to lose you, even when you're not trying to hold her. Machiavelli understood this law long before psychology gave it language. He wrote that men are conquered by necessity more than persuasion. The same applies to women, not in cruelty but in truth. When she feels that your attention is rare, her mind treats it as necessity. When she senses that you can walk away at any moment, her emotions treat your presence as privilege. This dynamic doesn't make you manipulative, it makes you valuable. Because in the modern world, rarity equals reverence. The irreplaceable man doesn't compete for affection, he filters it. He doesn't explain his worth. He embodies it through consistency, silence, and restraint. He lets the world discover his value the hard way, through absence, not announcement. And here lies the paradox that most never master. To make a woman stay, you must be willing to let her go, not as a test, but as a principle. Because true devotion cannot bloom in a man who fears loss. Fear contaminates energy. It turns presence into pressure, and pressure suffocates attraction faster than indifference ever could. The Stoic man understands that everything temporary must be embraced, not controlled. He values connection, but he never kneels to it. He feels deeply, but never lets feeling dictate his frame. His love is fierce, but never desperate. It's rooted in choice, not need. When she experiences that kind of love, it redefines her idea of manhood. You're not just another chapter in her story. You become the moral of it. You stand as the standard by which all others are measured. Even years later, when her life has changed, your name becomes shorthand for strength, for peace, for the mystery she couldn't replace. That's what makes you unforgettable. Not grand gestures or emotional fireworks, but psychological permanence. Because devotion doesn't live in memory, it lives in identity. You become part of how she sees herself, the man who showed her what steadiness feels like. And once a woman's emotions have written you into her identity, no comparison can erase you. The irreplaceable man doesn't chase legacy. He creates resonance. He walks through life as a quiet force, shaping every room without demanding attention. His silence makes people listen. His restraint makes people wonder. His absence makes people remember. And the woman drawn to him feels it all. She feels his depth in his stillness, his strength in his patience, his power in his calm. She may never fully understand why she's so devoted, only that his presence rearranged something within her. That he awakened a standard she can't unsee, a depth she can't unknow. That is the essence of irreplaceability. Not being the loudest, the most charming, or the most available, but the most centered. A man whose energy remains unmoved in a world addicted to noise. A man who doesn't chase devotion, because devotion is drawn to the one thing it can't conquer: unshakable peace. By now you understand that devotion is not given lightly, nor is it earned through effort alone. It is awakened through presence. The deliberate, unshakable embodiment of your own value. The woman who will truly commit to you does not seek a man to fill her void. She seeks a man whose very being expands, her sense of possibility, whose calm and consistency become the mirror through which she measures herself, and whose gravity she cannot ignore. The irreplaceable man does not demand attention, yet attention clings to him as naturally as shadows follow light. He does not plead for loyalty, yet loyalty roots itself in the woman's subconscious as if it were the only rational choice. He does not compete for affection, yet she begins to measure all others against the standard of him, a standard he sets without even trying. You, in this understanding, begin to see why ordinary strategies fail. Most men attempt to manufacture attraction through effort, excitement, or overexposure, not realizing that the emotional and psychological systems governing female devotion respond only to the authenticity of a man's inner state. Devotion arises when a woman senses that you are complete without her, yet she experiences her world enriched by your presence. She feels your attention as a reward, not a necessity. She notices your absence as a loss, not a threat. This delicate tension between availability and self-containment is not engineered manipulation. It is the natural law of attraction in motion. And once this law is understood and applied, every interaction she has with you becomes a silent lesson in respect, curiosity, and desire. To manifest this state, you must embrace a truth that men rarely acknowledge. A woman's devotion mirrors your self-mastery. She cannot rise to the standard you do not embody. If your energy is reactive, restless, or dependent, she will unconsciously mirror that instability. If your presence is fleeting or inconsistent, she will allocate her investment elsewhere. But when your energy is steady, when your behavior aligns with inner principles, and when your mind remains sovereign, even under her tests, her psyche begins to anchor itself in you. Consider the flow of time and the consequences it carries. A single day of composure might pass unnoticed, yet it lays a foundation. Weeks of consistent behavior become a gravitational field, pulling her attention, her curiosity, and ultimately her devotion toward you. Months of unwavering presence crystallize into emotional permanence. Years of disciplined self-mastery render you unforgettable. Her memory of other men pales, not because they lack charm, but because they lack the consistency that shapes identity. The irreplaceable man does not merely exist in her moment. He exists in her narrative, in the way she tells her story to herself and to the world. This is why the irreplaceable man does not chase. He does not react to whims, entertain every request, or prove his value through action alone. He understands that devotion is cultivated in the space between interactions, in the silent message of restraint, in the demonstration of values through consistency, in the balance of proximity and absence. Every step he takes, every glance he offers, and every moment he holds himself steady conveys a subtle lesson: that devotion is a treasure reserved for the rare man who embodies it naturally. And this mastery is neither superficial nor performative. It is philosophical, rooted in the timeless principles of Stoicism. The separation of perception from circumstance, the mastery of self over impulse, the commitment to act in alignment with internal virtue rather than external reward. It is Machiavellian in its precision, not in deceit, but in strategic comprehension. The understanding of how human emotion operates, how patterns of behavior shape attachment, and how subtle energy can command respect without coercion. Combined, these principles create a man whose presence is impossible to ignore, whose energy leaves imprint on the mind, and whose standard defines the baseline against which all others are measured. Now, consider the internal landscape she experiences. Her thoughts replay moments where your calmness contrasted with her emotional storms. She reflects on conversations where your words carried weight because they were chosen, not scattered. She notices your absence, the rare days when you do not respond immediately, the silent intervals where she cannot predict your motion, and in these gaps, her mind fills with projections of your significance. She invests emotionally without conscious permission. Her curiosity loops continuously, reinforcing attachment. Her emotional reward system, designed by evolution to seek stability and novelty, anchors in the pattern you have created. The irreplaceable man knows that freedom and commitment are not opposites. They coexist. He does not demand compliance. He radiates authority. He does not require control. He cultivates admiration. He does not seek to bind her, but to inspire her to choose him repeatedly, even when circumstances allow her the freedom to walk away. It is in this interplay, restraint coupled with presence, challenge tempered by stability, that devotion reaches its most profound expression. This is the lesson that transforms not only how she perceives you, but how you perceive yourself. Your power is not in the pursuit, but in the embodiment of your own standards. Your value is not declared, but demonstrated. Your influence is not coerced, but evoked, and in this truth lies liberation. When you accept that the woman you wish to hold will commit only to the man she perceives as unshakable, you free yourself from chasing, pleading, or proving. You free her to invest genuinely. You free yourself to live fully. By standing as the irreplaceable man, you achieve a quiet authority that commands attention without spectacle, respect without demand, and devotion without effort. You create a gravitational field of presence so compelling that she becomes anchored in your energy, drawn to your depth, and inspired by your constancy. She may never articulate why she remains, but she will feel it every time she considers another man and finds none meet the standard you have set, simply by being who you are. And here is the final revelation. Devotion is never purchased, it is awakened. It is born from tension, deepened by consistency, and cemented by presence. The irreplaceable man does not chase, does not bend, and does not plead, because his identity, calm, and mastery are already more than enough to elicit it naturally. The woman who cherishes you above all else does so not because you forced it, but because you embodied it. You became her anchor, her reference point, her standard. You did not demand her love. You simply allowed it to discover you. And that is a power that endures far beyond fleeting attraction, beyond superficial connection, and beyond time itself. She will remember you, not for your words, not for your gifts, not for the intensity of pursuit, but for the unwavering gravity of your presence, the silent weight of your calm, and the quiet certainty of your identity. She will cherish you because, unlike the ordinary men she meets, you cannot be replaced. And in that truth lies the ultimate mastery: to command devotion without trying, to shape attachment without force, and to exist as a standard that nothing else can eclipse. You become the legend in her story, the measure of all others, and the irreplaceable man she cannot and will not forget.